What if the feeling of being stuck is not about the situation at all? What if it's simply this? You think you only have one option. And what if the moment a second option appears, something in you remembers, I'm not trapped here, I'm at choice. Welcome to You're Amazing, your space to pause, to calm down, reconnect to your roots, awaken your spirit, and see what truly matters. This podcast is called You're Amazing for a reason. You are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. Nothing's missing, and you're not broken. Over the last 2 episodes, we explored fulfillment and what it means to live a life that feels valued, purposeful, and alive. And then, values, the roots that a fulfilling life grows from. Today, I want to go one step further. Because knowing your values is one thing. Actually choosing from them in the middle of a full week, a busy schedule, a moment of pressure, that is something else entirely. Today we are talking about balance. Not work-life balance, not perfect distribution, not optimization. Balance at the moment you slow down, explore a different perspective, and perhaps find more choice than the narrow moment lets you see. I'm Jorma, a coactive coach building my own practice. And I've worked in corporate for more than 20 years. And today we are exploring what balance really means and what becomes possible if you stop living from I have to and begin choosing what is truly yours. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube, hit follow. It helps more people to find this weekly pause. Thank you for being here. Let's pause and look at that together. I want to reclaim the word balance. Not as perfect distribution, as I said, not as having it all. The kind of balance I am interested in is much more human than that. It is the moment I slow down enough to see the situation from another angle. And from there, remember that I may have more choice than I thought. Because sometimes the pressure is real. The limits are real. The responsibility also is real. And still, very often, the feeling of being completely stuck comes from believing there is only one option. I have to. There is no other way. This is just how it is. Balance begins when I can name the perspective I'm standing in and gently try on another one. Not to find the perfect answer and not to force positivity, just to discover that another perspective exists. Because the moment there are 2 perspectives, something opens. You don't need 10 options. You need maybe one more. One more means I'm not trapped in the first story. One more means I'm at choice again. I think about a client who came to me completely overwhelmed, not by the volume of work, but by the feeling that none of it was negotiable. Everything felt equally urgent. Everything felt like it had to happen. And as we talked, one question shifted something. What would you say to a close friend in exactly this situation? And the answer came immediately, and it was completely different from what they were telling themselves. That is balance at work, not doing less, not doing more, trying on a different perspective just long enough to find what is actually true, and choosing from there. And this topic is very personal for me. I know what it means to move fast, to perform, to keep many things running at once. And I know how easy it is in that speed to slowly lose the feeling that I'm actually choosing my life. Last week, for example, I had a moment that taught me something important. I was in a workshop week, full days, everything was organized around making it work. And I had a doctor's appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning, a skin cancer screening. The kind of appointment you wait half a year for. And the workshop started at 9. And I was 1 second away from skipping it, just going straight to the workshop, being there early, being responsible, being professional. And then something stopped me, a quiet voice that said, choose yourself first. So I spoke to my colleagues, we found a way, I went to the appointment. And you know what happened? I arrived there 10 minutes before 9. Nothing collapsed, and I had not abandoned myself. But what stayed with me was not the logistics. It was how close I came to putting myself in second place, automatically without even questioning it. That is exactly what an I have to looks like from the inside. And it's not dramatic. It's not a crisis. It's just a reflex, a narrowing, a moment where the perspective collapsed in just one option. And I almost missed the fact that I had a choice. This also happens for me in smaller moments. For example, I changed my diet last year. No sugar, very low carbs. And sometimes someone offers me something I genuinely love, something special, like a Japanese mochi, for example. Something that in another moment would be a yes. And I say no, not because I have to, because I have chosen my health, my energy, and my body. And that choice matters more than the moment. That is balance too. Not saying no to everything, saying no to something good because something deeper matters more. And every time I do that consciously, something in me settles. Because I'm choosing, not just reacting. And of course, some situations are generally hard. Some limits are real. This is not about blaming yourself for where you are. It is about gently looking for one more place where choice may still exist. So here's one simple way to explore balance this week. First, notice the narrow perspective. When life sounds like I have to, pause, and not to judge it, just to notice. Maybe I'm seeing this from only one angle. And second, invite another perspective. Ask yourself, what else might also be true? What would I say to someone I love? What does my body already know? You don't need 10 new options. One more perspective is enough to create space. And third, choose the option that feels most like yours. Not necessarily the easiest one, not the one that looks best from the outside. The one that you can stand behind. The one that feels connected to what matters. And then take one small step from there. Because balance is both what you do and how you want to be while you do it. Okay, let's do a short pause together. And bring one area of your life to mind. A place where you have been living from I have to. A place where things feel narrow. A place where it seems like there is only one way. And take a slow breath. And ask yourself, is this truly the only option? Or is this the only option I can see from here? Just notice. And take another breath. And then ask, what else might also be true? What does your body already know? And what would I say to someone I love? And now, what would one choice look like that feels more like mine? Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's choosing how you want to be while you do what still needs to be done. And take one last breath. And quietly say to yourself, I'm not stuck. I'm a choice. And that's the pause. And here's your question for the week. Where in my life have I been living from I have to? And what becomes possible when I remember I may have more choice than the narrow moment let me see? And more simply, what is one moment this week where I could choose what feels most like mine instead of what is just automatic? If this pause helped you, follow or subscribe. And if someone came to mind while listening, maybe send this episode to them. I'll see you in the next pause. Because sometimes the real shift is not in doing more or less. It is remembering even here, even in a full life, even in real pressure, that there may be one more perspective, one more breath, and one more choice that belongs to you. I'm Jorma, and you're amazing. Take care of yourself. Bye.